of the central bank saying that wage growth was at 7.8% over the last year. We do have a recruitment expert conveniently in the studio this morning. He's actually in to discuss his own study. Fitch is about to release its Q1 Gulf Employment Index. But his timing couldn't be better. CEO and founder of Fitch, Trefor Murphy, good morning.
Good morning, Brandy.
Before we dig into the numbers from your employment index, Trefor, let's talk about the well-paid elephant in the room, that 7.8% pay rise that the central bank has there in its quarterly report. What are you making of that?
I think I mean, I haven't actually seen the detail of the report, if it includes private and public sector. I don't think it's probably too far off as an average from our side. I think we would have put it down to about 5 to 6% for last year. So I think it's reasonably accurate. Again, the detail of the audience is a little unclear at the moment.
5.6% though is still good. What's been driving that?
It's been, last year it was a very busy year, probably the busiest in 3 or 4 years from a recruitment standpoint. And not every sector enjoyed that bounce, but overall it was a very busy year. And for the second half of it, back to pre-COVID numbers in terms of jobs. And then a drive on jobs, obviously, it's a helpful indicator to increase salaries. So I think overall, very good year.
And has that increased salaries on what we'd call a normal level, or has that increased salaries on the pay cuts that people had taken through the pandemic?
For the organisations that we work with, it's an increase on their salaries, not bringing them back to where they were before, yes, for sure.
And settle the argument between me and Richard, is a bonus considered part of your salary or is it not?
So we don't include it when we're calculating salary increases or reductions. We just look at gross salary. We don't include bonus pool. We run a separate number on bonuses. It's a little ad hoc and a little more difficult to include in. In fairness to Richard, it is, when you get a bonus, you spend that money. It is part of your salary, or it is part of your income. So I think you're both right, I hate to say.
Diplomatic. Look, let's look at your report, which is also fascinating. A near 8% increase in jobs for the UAE in Q1 is what you have calculated. Where are the new jobs, Trefor, and where are they disappearing?
So, sorry, the 7.7% or nearly 8% is across the Gulf. Mm-hmm. Some countries did not perform as well. I think UAE was still at 8%. Specifically in the UAE, I think we're seeing a real tech bubble happening at the moment. A real tech resurgence. There is massive demands around cloud, data, AI, digital, all new technologies are really, really happening at the moment across the UAE. And that's within lots of startups, but we're seeing lots of organizations build out re-centralized teams here. There's been a lot of growth in development and programming work, again, more specifically in Dubai. And we see a lot of public sector entities really spending quite a lot of money on hiring bigger teams to help with cyber and some big data projects. Outside of that, there's an overall good recovery across everything. We're seeing real estate starting to pop up some numbers in the UAE, but more particularly in the Northern Gulf around Qatar and Saudi. And we're seeing a good momentum across most of the markets, most of the functions that we work with.
I was interested to see in your report that you highlight two trends we've been talking about in the business breakfast, the increase in M&A activity and the IPO boom we're seeing here in the Gulf as being job creators. How big a factor are they?
I think they're so we look at them in two ways. So I guess M&A and IPO, from a direct recruitment point of view, there's a lot of firm activity. And then we've got a lot of organisations that are gearing up towards IPO or investment of some kind. So it's not a massive job creator, but it's a very good economic indicator and supports that there are lots of organisations that aspire to have that investment and that growth and that expansion. And also there's a lot of interest in investing in companies across the Gulf at the moment.
Well, Saudi dominates your report with a 16% growth in jobs in 2021. Quickly, we've got about 1 minute left with you. Is that the NEOM effect, the mega project effect, or is it beyond that?
It's probably beyond that. I mean, Saudi has been busy for the last 24 months, and that was definitely the NEOM effect. And we're definitely seeing lots of investment. There's more money being spent by public, by the big funds, PIF and the government. That's driving demand across public sector, but then that's equally forcing the private sector to step up its game and to retain its people and then to hire accordingly as well. So very busy market in Saudi at the moment.
30 seconds, what's the rest of the year going to look like job-wise, Trevor?
I think we're going to see continued growth, mid to high single-digit growth over the next 3 quarters. Nothing looks like that's going to slow that down. Even in the month of Ramadan, we're still very busy.
And can you find the people you need for these jobs?
It's a big challenge in some areas. It's a massive challenge in some areas. So particularly in the digital and data and cloud space, because it's not just the UE that's looking for this talent, it's every country and most organisations within them.
Trevor Murphy, CEO and founder of Fitch, in with their new Q1 Gulf Employment Index and sportingly taking our wage questions as well.
Yeah, very quickly on